All right, YouTube, how you doing? Welcome back to the channel. Happy Sunday to everyone out there. July 16th. We got a bunch of MLB games to jump into today. We're back home so we can get into the entire slate. Hopefully you guys didn't mind yesterday's video in which we only gave you 4 plays, but nonetheless, we're going to go through each and every game on today's slate. I'm going to give you my lean or leans on the games, but all my final plays, so what I'm actually going to be rolling with myself, those will be in the pinned comment. If you want to ride with my picks or if you want to fade my picks, those will be in the pinned comment. I update that throughout the day, so keep an eye on that. Yesterday, we were so close to a positive day. We go 2-2, only lose 0.3 units. It's not the biggest of deals, but man, oh man. The Reds money line, fine, chalk it. They lose 3-0. The Astros have a huge lead, like what, 8-3, 9-3 lead, let up 6 runs, and all of a sudden, you know, now they bounce back. Okay, they let up 6 runs, they're up 12-10. Okay, fine, whatever. 9th inning rolls around, they're up 12-10. Angels go off. Shohei Ohtani hits a home run, forces to extra innings, and the Astros lose 13-12. If you were following along with that game, that was a bad beat. So that is tough. But for some good news, our player props do cash with ease. William Contreras over 1.5 hits plus runs plus RBIs, and then Cody Bellinger over 1.5 hits plus runs plus RBIs for some plus money, which we do love to see that. So you know what? Not the worst night overall, but could have been another positive night if the Astros just kept their crap together. So yeah, the Astros are this close from being blacklisted because that was just bad. That was one of my worst beats in a while. But let's go ahead and jump into today's slate. Before we do, I want to talk to you guys about Sleeper. If you haven't checked out Sleeper yet, you're seriously missing out. Use the link in the description or the pinned comment. Get a 7-day free trial to the best sports betting research tool on the market right now. I mean that. I would back that up. I'd say that till the cows come home. The best sports betting research tool on the market for player props, game picks, helps you build parlays, and you can, with one simple click of the button, literally can place your bets on your sports books. DraftKings, FanDuel, MGM, and Caesars. It is an amazing tool. You can use it on the computer or the phone, so go check it out. Use the link in the description and the pinned comment. I'll put it there, and it seriously is worth it, guys. And if you just want to test out the free trial, go test out the free trial. It's so simple. And if you don't, you know, you feel like, oh, that's too much analytics, I can't handle it, Sleeper literally makes it easy. Green means good, red means bad. Can you handle that? If you can drive a car, you can use Sleeper. Go check it out, guys. Link in the description or the pinned comment, whatever you want to find the link in. Let's go ahead, jump into game number 1 here. We're looking at Pittsburgh taking on San Francisco. San Francisco has won both games in the series thus far. This is the series finale here. Beto's on the mound for the home team, the Pirates. 4.44 ERA with a 1-1 record and a 1.44 whip. Alex Wood on the hill for San Francisco. 4.68 ERA and a 4-3 record with a 1.48 whip here. Maybe I'm a little crazy here, but I am going to go ahead and lean towards the home team, the Pirates. It just kind of feels like a good spot for them to win this game. They've already lost 2. I don't really envision San Francisco being as dominant as of late to be able to sweep a team that, you know, I'm not saying the Pirates are anything to write home about. I don't want to get misconstrued here. I don't even know if this becomes a final play. I just don't necessarily want to buy into the sweep aspect of San Francisco. And then you throw in the fact that, okay, well, you know, if we really do want to make an argument out of this, Pittsburgh actually bats lefties fairly well here. 250 average, you know, averaging just about 5 runs per 9 against them, so we'll take it there. Again, I don't know if it becomes a pin comment final play, but I do lean towards Pittsburgh. I'm not really considering San Francisco today, especially at a minus 140 price tag over on BetMGM. Not really loving that, so I'm gonna lean Pittsburgh. And then in terms of the total, it's at 9.5 right now. I know the graphic says 9, but it is at 9.5 right now over on MGM. I'm actually gonna lean towards the over, but you guys can tell by my voice, I don't think this is my most confident spot or confident matchup in today's slate, but nonetheless, I do lean towards Pittsburgh as well as the over. All right, next game up, we got the Phils taking on the Padres. Wheeler on the mound for the Phillies, got a 4.05 ERA with a 7-4 record and a 1.19 whip, going up against Seth Lugo for the Padres. 3.39 ERA, 3-4 win-loss with a 1.24 4 record. The Phillies have taken the last 2 games in this series. This is the last of 4 here, and they've dominated the last 2, and I don't see any reason why Wheeler wouldn't go out there and continue to do so either. Last 3 times he's played the Padres as the pitcher here, they have taken the win. He's allowed a combined 2 runs, 2 earned runs in those 3 starts. So I'm going to trust the better pitcher here and the better team. The only hindrance that I have here is probably looking at the fact that you're looking at minus 155 on the Phillies. I don't necessarily love that much juice, but nonetheless, I do think that they win this game. And then looking at a total of 9 runs. Like I said, Wheeler has dealt against the Padres in his last few starts in the last couple of years or last year or so. I'm going to trust that he does his job. Padres do not hit righties all that well, only a 225 batting average on the season. I'm going to lean towards the under. I think this could be a one-sided affair. We could see a game similar to what we saw in game number 2 of this series. That did finish in double digits, but nonetheless, it was a one-sided sort of lopsided affair. So I like this game to probably finish right around like a 5-3 mark, maybe a 6-2 mark. I do think the Phillies have that good of a chance to win it. So I'm going to lean towards the under, and I'll be honest, I kind of like the under more than I do either side of this game, especially at the price tag of minus 155 on the Phillies. All right, Atlanta taking on the White Sox. Cease is on the mound for the White Sox. You guys know that I like him. Not that he's having the best of years, but just, past play, I've liked him. Allard on the mound for the Braves. I do think that this is an Atlanta spot, but minus 175, way too much to be paying. I do think that Atlanta's going to bounce back pretty well after taking an L in yesterday's game, 6-5 against the White Sox. So maybe I look at Atlanta on the run line. I like them in this spot. They bounced back. They went up against Lance Lynn yesterday with Spencer Strider on the hill and still lost the game. Spencer Strider went 6 innings and they lose. So they have to be fired up. They have to know that they're way better than this team. So maybe I look at Atlanta on the run line. I do think it's an Atlanta spot. I'm not willing to pay 175, but keep an eye on the pinned comment. Atlanta minus 1.5 could have a chance to be in there, especially at plus money, plus 115 odds, regardless of what's happened in this series or how Atlanta's been playing or anything like that, right? If you just look at this in a vacuum, Atlanta's way better than this White Sox team. Minus 1.5 shouldn't be that tough for them, right? And for plus money, I think that is swayed by the fact that Cease is on the mound for the White Sox and that the Atlanta is coming off a loss yesterday. Those two things kind of create that perfect storm to allow Atlanta to have that plus money spot. So I think we might take advantage of that. I lean towards Atlanta on the run line. And in terms of a total, 9.5. It's a high number. We've seen a 9-0 game, and then we've seen a 5-6 game, kind of all over the place here in this series. I slightly lean towards the under. I think this one is going to be more or less a 6-3 type game in Atlanta's favor, but that is right on that margin of that total, as well as the run line. So if I were to rank my leans here, I'm looking at Atlanta minus 1.5 for plus money as my main lean in this game, but then I also consider under 9.5. All right, guys, before we do continue with the slate, I want to talk to you guys about Daily Grind Fantasy and the DFS optimizer that they offer. I know I've talked about it on the channel before, but I do want to talk about it again. This optimizer is absolutely goated. If you play Prize Picks or Underdog or Parlay Play or Jock Market or Sleeper or any of these apps out there, you need to be checking out Daily Grind Fantasy. We have the Prize Picks optimizer up here right now, and you can see what they do is they compare Prize Picks lines to Sportsbooks lines, and obviously it's like for all of these apps as well. And then you can also look at the Sportsbooks odds that they're offering. So you can see here, Ben Lively, Prize Picks has a strikeouts line of 5, whereas Sportsbooks actually have it at 4.5. There's some value over there on Prize Picks. You wouldn't really know that difference if you weren't using this optimizer. And you can go down here, Joe Ryan under 7.5 Ks. You can see sportsbooks are absolutely juicing the under here as well. And sportsbooks, obviously a profitable business in the long term, right? You might want to go ahead and lean towards whatever they are juicing because they think that is the likely outcome. The Prize Picks optimizer over on Daily Grind Fantasy makes this easy. You can also get a free trial for this tool as well. If you check out the description, I'll put it in the pinned comment. But Daily Grind has been an awesome tool. We just hit a 5-for-5 slip over on Jock Market on Friday, right? All I did was come to the site, click this Jock Market button, and took 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, the top 5 plays, put them in a slip, and we 10 times our money. I think we went 20 to win 200, something like that. Crazy, guys. It is absolutely Prize Picks and Daily Fantasy Sports made easy. Go check it out. The Daily Grind Fantasy Optimizer, link in the description as well as the pinned comment. All right, we got Baltimore taking on the Marlins. Bradish on the mound for Baltimore, 3.32 ERA with a 5-4 record and a 1.18 whip. Okert on the mound for Miami. He's got a 2.43 ERA, a 3-0 record with a sub-1, a .87 whip. You do like to see that. Obviously, not much out there for Okert in terms of stats. He hasn't played played much, doesn't have any recent history against the Orioles, but nonetheless, I do think that this is a spot where Miami's offense could kind of come to life against Bradish here. I'm not going to say, that they bat righties all that incredibly well, but they do average a 250 average, so I like that spot for them today, averaging almost 7 hits against righties on the season as well. So for plus 146 over on FanDuel, I think this could be a good spot for Miami to bounce back. They've lost the 2 games They've lost the 2 games in the series thus far. I don't necessarily think that this is a sweep spot for Baltimore, but yeah, minus 165, not something I was considering for Baltimore. And then I looked at, that Miami offense starting to heat up yesterday. 5 runs scored, still get the L, for plus 146 odds over on FanDuel. I don't hate the value. I don't hate the spot. And then in terms of the total, 9, I'll be honest, I don't really have much of a lean in this spot. If I think Miami's offense is going to score a decent amount of runs today, I guess I can expect Baltimore to kind of at least tail and follow suit. So I slightly lean towards the over, but yeah, I don't want to make it seem like that's really a confident pick. I like the value of Miami in this spot. That's about it. And we have a similar spot here when it comes to value. Kikichi's on the mound for Toronto as they host Henry and the Diamondbacks. Toronto has won both games in the series, and it's been lopsided, 7-2, 5-2 here. But I don't necessarily love Kikichi on the mound against this Diamondbacks team at minus 155 odds. So I'm actually going to take a peek at Arizona, who hits lefties fairly well as they face Kikichi today. And for plus 135 odds, again, I'm kind of being swayed by the price tag here. Can Toronto go out there and win this game? Sure. It's just like Baltimore last game. Could they win it? No kidding. It's baseball. Anyone can win the game, but I don't want to pay that price, especially in a sweep situation here where I guess that's not the best way of viewing it, but at least in my brain as of late, as we've been kind of trending here, I don't love to, bet on all these sweeps. Already, if we were to take favorites in a few of these games and we're only 5 games into the slate, we'd be looking at 3 different sweeps, right? Kind of crazy. So I am going to lean towards Arizona plus 135. I like them against Kikichi today. They bat lefties well, and the fact that they're just itching for a win here. 2 games they haven't even been in, a little worrisome, but I do think that they go out there and score some runs today. 9.5 is the total. I'm looking at the over. I said that Arizona hits lefties well. Well, so does Toronto. So I'm going to look at the over here, 9.5 runs. Cincinnati taking on Milwaukee. This Cincinnati team cannot get one over Milwaukee. Milwaukee has just been crushing them head-to-head in their last 10. They have won 7 of them, and those are all but one. This is going to be their 10th game this year, too, playing, obviously, a lot of games against each other. Lively on the mound for the Reds. Hauser on the mound for the Brewers. I'm going to lean towards Cincinnati. I think that they don't get swept here, which, guys, you probably think I'm a broken record. You're like, dude, quit it with this sweep talk. I just don't necessarily see Cincinnati rolling over like this. And I said it yesterday, and I think we're kind of in that spot again. I truly think that, if this Reds team goes out there and gets swept by Milwaukee, the Reds, sadly, even though they have all these young guys and this fun team, they may have been just a flash in the pan, and I don't want that to be the case. So a lot riding on this Reds team, because I think that could have been the difference of a hot team and a good team. And they did not close out the All-Star break all that well, losing a couple of the 3 against Milwaukee. Now they come out of the All-Star break against a team you should be familiar with and kind of mad and angry and ready to beat, and they're going to get swept. This is a big game in terms of the trajectory of the season, I think, for Cincinnati. So I'm going to back that the narrative there and lean towards Cincinnati. And then in terms of the total, 10.5 runs, Cincinnati was scoring a bunch of runs before the break. So was Milwaukee, which is kind of weird. We've seen games in this series thus far, 1-0, 1-0, 3-0. At some point, the lid's got to come off, right? Now, we do have a total of 10.5, so I see that Vegas is also kind of predicting that. I'm going to lean towards the over. I think that this is one where everyone's going to look at the trends and go, okay, we're going under. This is such an easy under, but they smashed some balls today. So I'm going to look at the over 10.5. Kind of crazy. I'll sound the alarm because I do think it's crazy. Psycho alert alarm, but over 10.5 is also going to be my lean. I barely ever touch overs in double digits. We're doing it today. All right, the Mets taking on the Dodgers. The Mets have not looked great as of late, losing 4 straight games. They were kind of on a streak, too, heading into that Padres series just before the All-Star break, and they lose 2 of 3 against the Padres. Dodgers looking good, winning 7 of their last 10. They've won 6 straight games here. Obviously, the competition isn't all that incredible. They went from the Pirates to the Angels to the Mets now, but the Mets have Scherzer on the mound today, and I like this spot for them. Scherzer has pitched really well against the Dodgers. Obviously, only 1 game so far with the Mets against the Dodgers, but they won that one 5-3, 0 earned runs for him. He only pitched a little bit, so I don't want to put too much weight into it, but nonetheless, even prior to that, when he was on the Nationals, 2 games against the Dodgers, winning 6, pitching 7 innings, 1 earned run, and then another game, you know, the season before here, pitching 7 innings and allowing only 2 earned runs. So Scherzer has pitched well against the Dodgers, kind of backing that here. I like this spot for the Mets to kind of at least take one in this series. So give me the Mets at -115 at home. I like Scherzer today. That's really, if Scherzer doesn't go out there and do his job, then you can kiss this one goodbye, because I don't think that happens. In terms of a total 8.5 runs, I think that this Mets offense probably has to, you know, put up a few more runs to be able to hang with the Dodgers today, but I don't necessarily know if it puts it over the top. We're looking at a total of 8.5. If I think that, you know, if this Dodgers offense kind of comes down just a couple notches because Scherzer's on the mound today, they've scored 6 runs and 5 runs, right? So if I think that they score, maybe I project Dodgers scoring 4 runs today, that doesn't make me too much of a confident better in terms of betting the over. So I am going to slightly lean towards the under here, because I am truly backing the pitcher in Scherzer. And then Bob Miller's on the mound too for the Dodgers, a good pitcher overall as well. So I think this one actually hits under that mark, 8.5. All right, Kansas City taking on Tampa Bay. Eflin on the mound for Tampa Bay, going up against Brady Singer. I think that this is obviously a spot for Tampa Bay. I wouldn't even consider them on the run line at -130, -135. Too much juice to be paying, even though they've covered that 2 times here. If you do like Tampa Bay, maybe find some sort of a parlay to throw them in, because that's going to be the really only spot for me here. And then in terms of the total, 9.5. I think Tampa Bay puts up a big spot today. I'm going to lean towards the over ever so slightly, but it's been the same thing all season, guys. When when Kansas City is in a series, I kind of lose a little bit of interest. Sorry, not sorry, but I lean towards Tampa Bay in some sort of parlay format, and then also the over to some degree. All right, guys, if you're still watching at the 16-minute mark, make sure to comment 16 in the comments. I love doing this. I know I say the same thing every time, so another thing that I sound like a broken record on, but I love when we get a bunch of comments like this where it's going to be 16, 16, 16, and then people are like, why is everyone commenting 16? It's like the old man yelling at the cloud, like, dude, if you watched the whole video, you'd know exactly why, and also why are you mad at someone commenting a number? So go ahead, drop 16 in the comments, and yeah, if you haven't hit the like button yet, go ahead and do that as well. Hit that subscribe button too if you're not subscribed, but I do love seeing who the real ones are, guys, so make sure to comment 16 if you are still watching. We got the St. Louis Cardinals taking on the Nationals here. This is a tough one for me, because I do think that the Cardinals are the better team, and I would say that they have slightly, I could be, you could disagree with this. Jack Flaherty on the mound going up against Josiah Gray. I do think the Cardinals have the better pitcher, even though Gray, I would say, you could argue, is the better pitcher and has been pitching over his last few starts better, in terms of how he's been pitching against the season. But the Cardinals, even if I think they have the better pitcher, even if I think they have the better team, -190 is way too much of a price tag for the Cardinals today. They are not a -190 worthy team. I don't think that whatsoever. Almost against anybody, I don't think that that's the case. So Nationals is actually going to be my lean, +160 here. They did take game 1 of this series as well. If you want to be safer, even at -120 odds, I don't hate the Nationals on the +1.5 run line. So I'm not necessarily trying to back the Nationals to this oomph degree today, but I don't think that it's a value bet or smart at all or analytical to look at this Cardinals team and say, I'm willing to pay, twice for my ROI what I'd get back. I don't love that whatsoever. In terms of a total, we have 9 here. I think this one actually stays under the mark. We've seen a 7-5 game and a 6-9 game. I think this one kind of snaps back to reality for these teams. Those Cardinals had a few low-scoring games going into the break. I expect this kind of to come back down to earth, and maybe we see like a 4-3 or a 5-3 type game, which would be a run to 2 underneath that total. All right, Cubs taking on the Red Sox here. They've split the 2 games this series thus far. Now they head into the third of 3 games here. So who's going to win this series? Red Sox win game 1, 8-3. Cubs win yesterday, 10-4. We cashed Cody Bellinger for over 1.5 hits plus runs plus RBIs. Yeah, if you watch that game, I think a grand slam. Yeah, I think that covers that line altogether in one swing of the bat. But nonetheless, guys, I'm looking at another underdog here. We're looking at the Red Sox +122 on the money line. Cutter Crawford on the mound going up against Justin Steele. I'm not going to make the pitcher argument right here at all, okay? Don't go down my throat. I get it. Cutter Crawford is not a better pitcher than Steele. I would never say that he was altogether. Now, he has been pitching okay. Their numbers actually look fairly similar in their last few starts or so, but what I like to see here is the Red Sox absolutely banging on lefties this season, averaging almost 6 runs per 9, a 260 average. I love to see that with a near 400 O on base percentage. So I like to see that. I think this Red Sox team and this Cubs team actually match up pretty well together. So yes, this could be anyone's game, but I like the Red Sox for some plus money today. That has a decent chance of becoming a final play. And then in terms of the total, 9.5 runs. So far, we've only really seen one team step up to the plate in both of these games. Now they've gone over 8-3, 10-4. I think it's going to be similar today. I'm going to lean slightly towards the under, though. I think this is going to be one of the games where it's like, you know, one team steps up, but that means it's 5-2 or 6-2 or something like that. You know, 6-3 would even be an under here. So I hope it's the Red Sox. We're leaning money line as well, but I think it's going to be another sort of one-sided affair type game, because that's the trend that we've seen with these two teams. Not even just the, you know, most recently. We saw it last year as well. So I lean that in that direction of the under. All right, we got Texas taking on Cleveland, and I'm just going to sound it. I'm leaning towards the Cleveland Guardians. We're throwing a bunch of underdogs your way right now, which could be kind of crazy, but I'm looking at Tanner Beebe and saying, keep doing what you're doing. His last few starts have been great. Now, he hasn't had the craziest of competition, I can be honest, but they've won his last 4 starts here. In his last 3 starts, he's only allowed a combined 2 earned runs here as he's pitched phenomenally and averaging just about like 3 hits per game as well. The only thing that worries me is that this Texas offense, you know, pop quiz, does it matter who's pitching against this Texas offense? Answer is no. They could put up a boatload of runs against anybody, but I'm going to be a psycho here and a crazy person, and, you know, maybe you could fade me if you don't love this one. I'm leaning towards Cleveland for plus 110, even though they've lost both games in the series, and I'm looking at the under. I think Tanner Beebe is going to step up to the plate today. He's got a 3.3 ERA with a 5-2 record and a 1.29 whip. We're even going to need better performance than that today. We're going to need to see what we've seen in his last couple starts here. Again, his last few starts, only 2 runs allowed through that, his last 3 starts, 2 runs allowed through that stretch. So go do your thing, Tanner Beebe. Backing you big time today. It's kind of a make or break in my brain thing for you, because if he doesn't come through for us today, then we probably don't consider him in these types of spots moving forward. But nonetheless, Guardians is going to be my lean as well as the under. Next up, I feel like the like someone trying to get traffic off the road, or like foot traffic, right? Move on, nothing to see here. Kind of the same thing for this game. Garrett Cole taking on the Rockies. The Yankees are minus 215. I think this is just you know, I guess a parlay spot. I would consider the under. I mean, guys, if you just listen to me all year long, you could make profit on these picks alone. I keep taking the Rockies unders, or keep at least leaning towards the Rockies unders when they're at home, and they continue to cash now. It's close to, you know, an even split, but they still have cashed more unders at home than they have overs, and we have another one today. Both the games in the series thus far, 7-2, that hits the under, and then 6-3, that hits the under, even though it's a high-scoring game. We have an under, we have a total at 11 today with Garrett Cole on the mound. I think that this is going to be another spot for an under, but again, move along, nothing to see here. Don't love this spot. I think I told you guys game 1 of this series too. Don't love this series altogether, but nonetheless, if you want to throw in the Yankees in some sort of parlay, go do it. Garrett Cole, I think he's going to get the job done today for sure. Then I also like the under. All right, Oakland taking on Minnesota here. Sears on the mound for Oakland, and then Ryan on the mound for Minnesota. You guessed it, I'm leaning towards Minnesota. Minus 190 is a huge price tag to be paying, but I don't know if I would really be confident in taking them on the run line. That has decent odds at minus 105 on MGM right now, so if you do like Minnesota, maybe consider that. But yeah, minus 190 could keep me off this game. That's a lot of juice to be paying, but I can't really bet on the Athletics. I think you're a crazy person if you do take the Athletics in any way, shape, or form. So my main lean in this game is going to be on the under. The Athletics actually have scored a decent amount of runs, 4 runs and 7 runs here, but I don't think they get the job done. I don't think they score much against the righty Ryan today, and the Twins actually don't hit lefties that well either. So Sears is a lefty, so I'm looking for the Twins to win this one in a low-scoring format, because they're going up against a team that they can pummel, obviously, but they do not bat lefties well. So I don't think they're going to go off and score a bunch of runs today. So I like the Twins as well as the under. If I were to make any sort of actual pick in this game, it becomes final. It would be the under, because I don't really want to pay minus 190 for the Twins on the money line. All right, Seattle taking on Detroit. Detroit, honestly, surprisingly to me, is winning this one, and they faced not winning this game, but they've won this series so far 2 games. They win 5-4, then 6-0. They beat Luis Castillo, then they beat Kirby. Kind of crazy, but Seattle has to win this game, right? I lean towards Seattle minus 160 excuse me, minus 165 over on BetMGM right now. And then we have a total of 8 runs. I don't have a pick on the total here. We saw a 6-0 game and a 5-4 game. I don't love any of the trends or anything like that. So I do think that this is going to be a spot where I kind of just forego looking at anything on a total. But I do like Seattle. Like, Seattle has to win this game, right? They have to win this game. Miller's on the mound for them. Olsen's on the mound for the Tigers. I don't think that either one of these guys stink. And I think that this actually could be a decent spot for, Seattle to kind of win this one in a low scoring affair. But like I said, I don't have much to go off in terms of a total. So that's kind of how I'm predicting the game, but I don't think I'm going to pull the trigger on any sort of total. But Seattle's got to win this game. They've got to. Leaning towards Seattle on the money line. All right, last game of the night. I'm going to be super analytical here. Screw the Astros. You guys killed me last night. Go LA for plus 122. Let's get the job done today. I hate the Astros. Unless the Astros win this game, maybe I start to crawl back and be like, okay, I'm sorry. But no, after that beat last night, no. We're leaning towards the Angels today. This is a good spot for the Angels to go out there and say, you know what? We got Ev. We're going to beat down this team because you let them down again. So, yeah, I'm going to lean towards the Angels. Super analytical about this one. In terms of the total 9.5 runs, I have no reason why we would be looking at an under here. Both teams seems like the offenses are getting going, especially in this series. And the Angels have had a couple high-scoring games even prior to going into the All-Star break. So I like the over 9.5 here. And guys, that's all I have for you guys today. Hope you guys did enjoy the video, especially that super analytical pick at the end. That Angels, I put hours of research into picking the Angels. But yeah, nonetheless, guys, hopefully you enjoy your Sunday. And yeah, let's close out the week strong. We've been absolutely killing it lately, especially with the player props. So keep an eye on my Instagram at evpicks 2.0, or that's just evpicks, sorry. And then my TikTok at evpicks 2.0. And yeah, follow me there for all the player prop stuff. But I'll catch you guys in the next one, all right? Peace out.